Welcome back, Sunday morning quarterbacks. We return to your household, your cell phone, your iPad. It's your boy Sosa Picks. I'm back with Spin Doc Sports and DMAC Wake 316, the man from Kansas City. And we're back with another season to get you paid. Spin, DMAC, y'all ready for the 2024 NFL journey? I don't know about you, but I feel like I've been waiting for this like Christmas, first day of school, my wedding date, the first time I got some ass. You know what I mean? I think I'm like right there. Yeah? You know what I mean? Like I'm like right there. I'm right just about there right now, right? Y'all, we're all there? We all there kind of?
Ready to roll.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone knows we've done the show together last season. This is our fourth season. Me and Spin have done all 4 seasons. Obviously, we've had some changes along the show. And this season, we got another one. We're adding another one to the gang. Everyone knows him. Real star in the gambling community. All summer, he brought you hella money in baseball. And I was going to have him on the opening screen because everybody knows who the hell he is. But at the end of the day, he is new to Sunday morning quarterbacks, and he's here to add a lot of value. And I think we all know who it is. It's our boy Prop God. Welcome in, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you. Hey, man.
Happy to be here.
I'm glad you made it. But yeah, the NFL season is back. Make sure you like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on my playback page as well. We're going to be doing a ton of live betting throughout the day via playback. But with that being said, the NFL's back. First game. I hate to do this because they won the Super Bowl and they fucking won the first game of the season. I'm gonna get some quick thoughts on the Chiefs defeating the Baltimore Ravens in the season opener. For me, I don't really have much to say, so I'm going to defer to Spin Doctor and DMAC and Prop if you guys have anything to say. But I don't really have anything to say about this game at all.
I think we should start with the Chiefs fan first.
Yeah.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Mute, though. All right. I can go if he's no, I'm still on mute. That's all right. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
So a couple thoughts for me. Number one is Xavier Worthy is just that dude, man. Like, whoo. Like he is gonna as the season goes on and as he becomes more accustomed to this offense and just to the NFL game, I would expect to see more misdirection gadget plays for him. Not saying that he's going to be like a regular fantasy asset. He's probably going to be more boom or bust, but he is going to be that gadget guy where I think that in a lot of Chiefs games, you can use him in like a DFS role and he can get you a lot of points because, man, his elusiveness and that speed, not only his speed, but just his acceleration. Because granted, he had a huge caravan in front of him on that touchdown run, but just the way he turned that up, I mean, that was like 0 to 60 in like 2.5 seconds flat. So that was one thing that I noticed on the Chiefs side. The second thing that I noticed, and I'd be interested to hear DMAC's thoughts on this. Not only, obviously, he didn't have a very good game, Mr. Kelsey, or maybe we should call him Mr. Swift. I don't know, but Travis Kelsey, I just watched on some of the routes that he ran, and maybe it's just he's getting back into it, but he did not look in game shape. And so it's something where like I'm not ready to push the panic button yet, but I even watched on a few of the routes that he ran, and any linebacker or anybody that they put dropping back into coverage to cover him kind of covered him pretty easily. And then the only other thing I want to say, and I'll turn it over to either DMAC or Prop, whoever wants to go, is that I was supremely disappointed in Todd Monken. He was a former Bucs offensive coordinator, which, as y'all know, is my team. And his creativity for the vertical passing game was just so much different than what I saw last night. I texted this to I don't know how many people, and I posted in VIP. The word that I kept coming across for the Ravens offense was predictable. It was either a Lamar draw, an inside run to Henry, or throw it out in the flat to Zay and let him like try to dance around and make yards after the play. And yeah, likely had a big game, but they're like 90% of their offense were one of those few things. And for a guy that was so creative at Georgia when he was the coordinator there, for a guy that was so creative in his past NFL games, especially with the deep vertical passing game, because that's what he was brought in to, quote unquote, fix with the Ravens and with, from some people's perspective, Lamar. But I personally think that Lamar kept them in that game with his legs. The offensive game plan, in my opinion, as somebody who's watched Todd Monken for a whole season before when he was ROC, that offensive game plan, and maybe it's just because they're getting used to it, that offensive game plan was poor. Those are my thoughts.
Completely understandable. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, there you go. Perfect. Once I was fortunate to be at the game, had a great time seeing the Baron drop. Awesome ceremony, especially as a Chiefs fan. From everything I watched from Tyler Thigpen on, as far as the quarterbacks that we have to now live in this era, it's awesome. I can say that for all day long. But getting to the actual game, Spin, I think, hit the nail on the head as far as, Xavier Worthy, the speed element that he brings to our offense, being able to open things up, specifically underneath for Rashee Rice, who we saw have a great game. I think Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, the general ways in which Andy Reid used Travis Kelce to get extra eyes on him and open up things for Rashee Rice. You'll see Travis Kelce against worse defenses have better games. So I'm not terribly concerned about what I saw on tape from him from that perspective. But again, he's going to be limited, even though he didn't really limit him from the snap perspective, but he's not going to get 150 targets. We're going to make sure that he's ready for the playoffs. And so it's going to be a little bit more of a balance between him and Rice. But what Xavier brings to the table from the speed element, I can't wait to see what this offense is going to look like when you add Hollywood Brown on top of it as well, because the way Andy Reid schemes these guys up is spectacular. Defensively, I thought that Jalen Watson equipped himself well as a cornerback too. He had some issues as far as Nick Bolton coverage. Some of it will travel up as far as Russ is concerned. We'll see if he shakes it off. But I thought Lamar Jackson is a little bit of a controversy from the standpoint of he was great in carrying them and getting them back into the game and making it close at the end. But there were some plays at the end in which the accuracy just wasn't great. He obviously was a little bit jittery in the pocket because offensive line was having some problems throughout the day. So the combination of both those things in the end did not result in the touchdown that they needed to get the job done. And it's one of those things where if you want to slander Lamar, you can find it in that game. If you want to praise Lamar, you can find him in that game as well. Ultimately speaking, I think their offense, particularly Mark Andrews, because we do a good job against him historically, their offense will look better against worse defenses as well throughout the game. But it was two great teams playing, a great opening night and a way to kick off the NFL season.
Yeah, I think the guys pretty much touched on everything. There's not really much I will add. I'm excited. I guess I could say excited instead of scared, like most NFL fans should be with the Chiefs' new offense, because we still haven't seen Hollywood Brown yet. And then Rashee Rice has pretty much become the slant god. So when you add him to that mix, when you add Hollywood to the mix, I don't know how many answers you're gonna have with stopping Kansas City on a consistent enough basis. I think the key question was how is the defense going to hold up? And I think they did pretty well. So we'll see how that continues to roll out. I had some questions about Baltimore's offensive line with the three new guys coming in, and as a unit, it takes time to gel. For that front. So I think that'll be key. Not panicking on the Baltimore side at all. I think they'll still be there, when we get to the end of the road. But not many takeaways besides be very afraid.
All right. Yeah, I'm not going to bore you with any comments on either of those teams. Y'all said everything that needed to be said. We had another game to open the season. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Packers played in Brazil on a field that should not have been played on. That game should have had probably 120 points, but somehow it didn't because they couldn't keep their footing for the majority of the game. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles ended up winning the game, but the biggest thing that happened was Jordan Love being hurt. They said sprained MCL out 3 to 6 weeks. That's 3 to 6 losses, guaranteed, without him in the lineup.
If it's Malik Willis,
they're not winning a goddamn thing if he's not playing. So, like I don't have nothing to say about Malik Willis. But any takeaways? Any takeaways from the Eagles? The Eagles showing out in Brazil, and whoever wants to go first. I don't have too much. Again, I don't take too much away from the first game. Shout out to Saquon Barkley. I got him in all but one league, so that's it.
Now, I would just say, I mean, the biggest takeaway was Saquon Barkley. I think I wouldn't even say he lived up to expectations. He blew them away. Playing with the most talent he's been around, the best offensive line unit he's been behind. So I think he answered all the questions for the people who are crazy enough to think that Saquon is washed. You completely see he's not. I think that makes this Eagle offense scary. As long as Jalen Hurts can make the right decision on a consistent basis. I think that's what we saw him, flutter a couple of mistakes. What he had two interceptions. He fumbled once, recovered it once, he lost. So you're not going to win many games with that, with 4 potential turnovers from your quarterback. So I think that's something that the Philadelphia team has to clean up. I thought the defense played well, especially being put in those situations that they were put in, with Green Bay getting those short fields. So I thought they answered the call. For Green Bay, I think we still don't know who wide receiver 1 is when Love is playing. But I guess we can get to that once he gets back now, because like you said, the 3 to 6 weeks are going to be tough, especially from a fantasy standpoint. I wouldn't start anybody on Green Bay besides maybe Josh Jacobs, especially if Malik Willis is the quarterback. So I would say I'm not concerned with Green Bay with Jordan Love, but without him, 3 to 6 weeks, the season is in high jeopardy. So I think I saw one of the notes said he could be back sooner. So hopefully it's on the sooner side. We'll see. But yeah, that was it for me. I think Saquon stole the show.
Actually, I got to give a shout out to somebody else who stole the show, who might have gotten overshadowed because they lost the game and what happened to Love. Jaden Reed, my goodness, that kid is. Man, that if you're a Packer fan, you got to be loving the fact that you got that kid. That kid is electric.
Yep.
I talked about literally everything that I said about Xavier Worthy in the last segment that we did applies here to Jaden Reed. He actually should have had another touchdown and about 50 more receiving yards, but in the first quarter, it was called back for having 12 men on the field. He got open with ease. He beat every single combination of coverage and every single coverage that they threw at him. And the kid just has moves upon moves and just electric acceleration. So if he's still available in your fantasy league, you might be able to get a depressed price with Love being out, and he could be a bench stash that could pay off huge down the road. I absolutely love what I saw out of that kid. Love his acceleration, love his burst, love how he made guys miss, and really his route running. If you go back and you watch, and you don't watch the quarterback and the ball, if you watch just the way he ran his routes, it was very, very precise. So if he can do that on a regular basis, he might even be able to be a fantasy asset, even with Malik Willis at quarterback. Not as much, but with a healthy Jordan Love, I am all about Jaden Reed. That was electric.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch, a heck of a game. And I've seen something I've never seen before, which is both teams getting 12 men on the field penalty at the same time. Never seen that. But I will say, Jordan Love.
They should have let it go, right?
Nobody got disadvantage, let it fly. But no, it was a great game, fun game to watch, obviously outside of the field surface. Jordan Love being out is a bummer, especially the way that happened last snap of the game. I think Spin made a great point. Go out and get, I think, Dubs, because you saw that he was peppered with targets. He's the guy that I've been talking about, is going to be more consistent. But Jaden Reed is the explosive guy in that offense. I know we saw a lot of Christian Washington, David Wicks hype. Those are the two guys, in my opinion, who you want. And you can get them at a depressed price. Certainly is something to look at. Obviously mentioned Saquon. My takeaway was the Eagles offense looked diversified from what I saw. Kellen Moore had some more different concepts. And again, it's not a high bar to clear from what the Eagles were last year, but I was encouraged to see that there were more things added into that scheme for them to, in my opinion, be one of the NFC contenders this year. That is necessary and needs to continue forward. And I thought that was an encouraging sign for their offense. But other than that, hope Jordan Love gets back quickly, because I still think the Packers have a lot of high upside, and I think both of these defenses can get better, but they're going to need Jordan Love back to be anything.
I dropped on Tavion Wicks before Jordan Love walked back to the before he walked back to the locker room. I didn't even hesitate. Oh, he's hurt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's gone. He's going to be a non-factor in the offense. All the Don Tavion Wicks believers, it's over. Sorry. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. Don't fool yourself. He's going to be fighting for a gig, respectfully. But obviously, the people came for the schedule. one thing we're going to do is we're going to stay away from shitty games. We did that last year, and we're going to continue to do that. If you're looking for bets in games that you deem trash, you're probably not going to get them here. We're going to try to focus on the ones that have some level of a storyline and the ones that we just think are good matchups. You know, it's every NFL team plays this week. So, you know, it's plenty of opportunity. I'm not going to treat it like a day of baseball, though. So with that being said, we are headed to I believe Soldier Field. I put these in these tickers in. I wasn't paying attention to the
Chicago.
But I'm pretty sure the game's at Chicago. We got Chicago laying 4 with an over/under of 43.5. Obviously, in this one, the highlight of it is Caleb Williams making his NFL debut as a starter. First overall pick, former Heisman Trophy winner, deemed with the word generational. We've heard that with him. We heard it with a couple of quarterbacks here in the last couple seasons. I'm a fan of the kid personally. Everyone knows that. I think if you follow me on the internet, you know I'm a fan of Caleb Williams. I think that he does fit the mold of a generational quarterback. I think he does have that special attribute that you want in a leader and in a guy to lead your team. And I think that the Chicago Bears in this one win and cover. That's my first NFL pick of the season. And I started with that game on purpose because I do believe in this football team, but it's not just because of Caleb Williams. I think their defense is very, very good. Obviously, when you look at the metrics, it doesn't necessarily say that they're good. You got to kind of watch them play. They turn you over a lot. They do play with reckless abandon. They fly around. They get to the quarterback. They have linebackers that can cover, that will hit you as well. They have a very good secondary, obviously spearheaded by Jalen Johnson. And Eberflus is a defensive coach, and that's probably the reason why he still has a job, if we're being honest. He had that defense humming last year. The offense was trash, obviously. We're not going to blame any one person. They were devout of talent. The talent level that you now have on the offensive side of the ball is nowhere near what it was last year. It's next level, from the run game to the O-line to the receiving core. My first play is going to be the Chicago Bears -4. On the other side, I not that I don't believe in the Tennessee Titans. I'm a huge fan of Rand Carthon. I think he's a great analyzer of talent. If you look at the talent base that is now with the Tennessee Titans, it is high level. They drafted well. A lot of undrafted free agents made the team, which means that Carthon's doing a great job of assessing talent. Now, you can stockpile talent, but you have to have certain pieces. Franchise quarterback, I don't see it. The offensive line, still not good. I think they're a year away from being a successful NFL team. I love the Snead move. Obviously, Jeffrey Simmons is special. There's only 2 players left from when Vrabel was the coach on defense. That's Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry Jr. So they, for the most part, cleaned house of the old regime. Obviously, this is the second year you're going to get Carthon doing his thing. But again, I think that first game, I think Chicago is ready. I think people saw the Hard Knocks stuff, and obviously Hard Knocks is usually not a good precursor for the season for NFL teams because they usually don't fare well. But I think they break that curse, and I believe in the Chicago football team. I think they win the game by more than 4 points. We'll go to Spin Doc, Prop, and then DMAC, and whatever you guys like.
Yep, I'll be quick. I believe in Caleb Williams as well, but I don't really have any take on the game. I try to stay away from betting on rookies to cover. I get the look if you want it. But my thing here is actually going to be, and because I think that actually price-wise, it's actually not that bad. And it's Caleb Williams to throw an interception. So over 0.5 is -130 right now on DraftKings. Here's why. So the Titans were tough against the run last year. Their overall defensive mix is similar enough where you would expect that it would at least be somewhat similar. So, and the Bears have a 24-point implied team total per what Vegas is saying. So thinking that they are going to put the ball up, they are going to try to let Williams do what he does and score points. More throws for a rookie, any rookie, even this one, even one as generational potentially as this one, can lead to interceptions. The other thing is in his college seasons, which obviously not an exact translation, but he's going to face even more today. He actually struggled throwing under pressure, under 50% completion, under 7 yards per attempt, and a passer rating of right around 50 under pressure. So if you're going to stuff the run, or if you're going to be at least tough against the run, and the Bears are going to want to throw anyway, more throws can potentially lead to more interceptions. I think that there's definitely a world today where Williams has something like 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and three touchdowns, 300 yards, and 2 interceptions. That is not out of the realm of possibility. I don't mind the Bears team total over for today as well, because again, I do agree with Sosa that I think that they're going to open it up. But for me, for this one, and then I'll turn it over, is minus 130 right now isn't a terrible price for a rookie in his first NFL start, even one at home and even one as good as Williams, to throw a single interception when you factor in everything that I just said. So for my show play for this one, I'll say Caleb Williams to throw an interception minus 130.
I like how you said I'm going to turn it over after an interception prop.
You like that? You like that?
You, I see that. I see what you did.
As far as a side, I kind of told you I was leaning with Tennessee with the points at 4.5. I think it's at 3.5 now. I see a 4 floating around on DraftKings. It's just if you really think about it, I think these teams are both rebuilding something, right? Or still building. I think people are crediting it with the Bears as if they're there already, and we have no proof of that yet. So I can't just lay points with a rookie quarterback when rookie quarterbacks are 5-22 straight up over the last 40 years. That's a trend I don't want to go against. I do agree with Span with the interception look, and I'm not a Will Levis fan either. I think I told you one of the first bets of the season I was taking was Caleb Williams to throw an interception, and I think Will Levis would throw an interception too. My play for this game from a prop perspective is Tony Pollard over 10.5 receiving yards. I think the line is just simply too low. Levis targeted running backs, I think, about 20% of the time last season out of the backfield, or near 20. I know they did add Tyler Boyd in there and Calvin Ridley, who I want to speak on him because he squandered away my fantasy season last year, but we'll talk about that later. So the Bears gave up 1,003 yards to running receiving to running backs last season. That was by far the most in the NFL. I know that's kind of boosted up by a huge game from Aaron Jones, I believe, in week 1 or 2 from Green Bay. But I mean, receiving backs did pretty well against Chicago all season, so I think that'll continue. And I think we'll see more of a heavy dose of the passing attack from Tennessee. So I think Pollard will get involved. I'm not worried about the split backfield either. 10.5 yards that's one catch for Tony Pollard. He looked pretty good in the preseason too. So I lean Titans to cover, and Tony Pollard 10.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, look, I can't be mad at either one of those plays from you, Spin or Prop. Both of those make sense. Both of these quarterbacks can have the tendency to turn the ball over. Certainly, Pollard's a good pass catching back, and that's something that Levis used. I'm staying away from a lot of lines this week. I think we just got to gather information about what these teams are going to look like. But I understand why Prop is obviously taking that the Tennessee plus money side, and why Sosa would take the opposite side too. For me, I'm kind of looking at how's the offensive line of the actual Bears be able to operate against this really good Tennessee defensive line that's been obviously highlighted. For me, the play that I like is Keenan Allen coming into this game a little bit limited. We know what L'Jarius Sneed did last year. I expect the Titans went out and gave him that bag so that he's going to follow DJ Moore around for the entirety of the game. A guy that I loved coming out of college from Odunze. I think already has shown the connection in preseason with Caleb Williams. He's a guy that I think Caleb looks for when he's out of structure as well. I expect that Rome over 50 plus yards. I think it was plus 132. That's the one that I'm going to end up going with for my play this. Jude, you're terrible. That's the one that I'm going to end up going with today as my play in this game. I think Rome Odunze has a good game. Certainly with Keenan Allen being limited and what Caleb looks for as far as the Tennessee defense is concerned. But yeah, I like both of those. And I think it's going to be very entertaining to see what Will Levis can bring to the table in his second year. And certainly Caleb Williams, everybody's going to have their eyes on him. And I'm going to be paying attention to this game particularly because given Jordan Love's injury, I think I'm going to end up previewing for the Game of the Week podcast next week. I should say the Chicago Bears versus the Texans. And I'm looking forward to that game.
So I forgot to mention too. One of the other looks we were looking at Swift receiving yards when it first opened at 10.5. I think it moved up now, but I mean, with Caleb Williams' first big completion in preseason was to Swift on that screen, right? So I think Eberflus talked about how impressed he was with Swift in the pass catching game, and that was a part of his game in Detroit. And Philadelphia just completely ignored it. So I think he'll get back into that mix this season too. So I like both of the running backs to go over their receiving yards.
That's a VIP look for me. I'm not gonna lie. His receiving
okay.
yard, I just think that the options. I mean, I gave it out like 4 days ago. So it's so they got the better of the line. They got the better of the line anyway. So, but yeah, I'm 100% in agreement. I mean, obviously Swift is going to have plenty of opportunities. I agree with what D-Mac said. You know, you just need put him on the X for the entire game, and you know you try to play matchup football. That's what it is, and that's why you give him the bag. So I respect that. But again, I'm hanging my hat on this Chicago defense. They make plays, they get the ball, and I think that if they're going to get the ball from the other team 2 to 3 times, I think that their offense is much better equipped this year to capitalize on that. They simply did not do that last year. They didn't. And if your defense going to keep getting you the ball, at some point the levee's going to have to break, and you're going to get your points. It's got to happen. So I don't see a situation where like Levis is like great at just diagnosing things and just, you know, slicing up this defense. I just don't see it. You know, I don't see that being a thing. And I think that my other issue with Tennessee is, and before we get on to the next game, is they have no level of a running game that can be played in between the tackles. Both of their running backs are receiving backs. I like Pollard, but Pollard's not a great runner in between the tackles. Neither is Spears. So again, like, what is the game plan going to be? Is the game plan going to be dropping back Levis 40 times? Because if that's the case, they'll get smoked. So that's my only thing. I don't know what the expectation will be. I just saw somebody say 300 yards for Levis and 3 touchdowns. Hey, man, that ain't weed. That for sure ain't weed. That's something else. I don't know what would possess you to even say something that crazy.
Yeah, I saw that.
I can't get to that one. Will Levis struggled throughout training camp throwing the deep ball. Even their new OC admitted like his exact words were, "We have a lot to work on," and that was like a week before the season started. So I'm not ready to go there yet. And then the other thing is DeAndre Hopkins just coming back from a knee injury. He missed multiple weeks in training camp, missed reps with his new quarterback. That's actually why I like props look so much. Just because I think that if you're not going to be able to throw the deep ball and you're not going to be able to go vertical, and you have one of your top receivers is still kind of gimpy, is that you're looking for those short dump offs. So that's why I love that look.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
That's what we need. Get your pen and papers out. We're giving you the answers to the test. That's the reason why we do it. All right, on to the next game. We got the Steelers taking on the Falcons. The Falcons laying 3.5 points at the Benzo. No over under a 41.5. The Falcons won the offseason Olympics. That's what they did. They won the offseason Olympics. They went and got shiny new toys. They went and got Kirk Cousins. They went and got Simmons late, trying to figure out why a 31-year-old 2 years removed from an all-pro didn't have a fucking job, but they paid him. They gave A.J. Terrell a bunch of money. He gets smoked regularly. I don't know if people really watch football. Judon, I love Judon. But Patriots fans were telling me how he's an injury liability as of recently, but his numbers are insane, right? He's like 36 sacks in like 34 games, or 34 sacks in like his last 36 games. He's been absolutely insane. Kirk Cousins never won 10 games. He's won 10 games twice. Once they won 13, they got undressed by Daniel Jones at the crib. I say that to say it's the first time I've really been on camera. I don't believe in the Atlanta Falcons. I think they probably won today, but for the season, I'm gonna be just the same way I was hating on Desmond Ridder. I think I've just developed a hate for the Atlanta Falcons. And I have to just express it now. I don't think Kirk Cousins is as good as people think. Y'all thinking he's Kirk Stafford. He's not Matt Stafford, bro. This ain't the same type of 35-year-old getting sent to a situation with It's literally a great value version of the Rams. Where are the lies?
Well, for anybody who, I mean, so I'm gonna be unbiased, even though if you want to know my take on the Falcons, just look behind me. You know my take on the Falcons, and you also know my take on all the ESPN talking head idiots who are saying that, like, because they signed all the signing new toys, that the South now runs through them. Look who won it the last 2 years. Anyways, rant over. No, but in all seriousness, I do love Kirk Cousins. I do love, because I'm from Minnesota. Kirk Cousins was such a great ambassador for the community here. He's a good person. He's a great guy. His family's awesome. Just one of the nicest guys you ever met. So that's all good, but that doesn't win you bets, games, or props or fantasy stuff. So think back to how many guys over 35 years old, how many quarterbacks over 35 years old have gone to a new team after a major injury and just absolutely balled out and studded, especially in their first few weeks. You're going to have to think a long time, because I went back and it's a very, very, very short list. So I'm not expecting a whole lot from Cousins today. I'm actually kind of expecting this to be a rather ground-based, uglier game. So I think anything Bijan Robinson makes sense. I think that in the absence of some stability yet in this new Falcons offense, with a lot of moving parts, Cousins' first game action since his Achilles injury, I think that they're going to be looking to go on the ground a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes under. Right now, it's sitting at 42. You can get it at, I think the 42.5s are gone, but you can get it at 42 on DraftKings pretty much everywhere. Don't mind that look at all, especially when on the other side you have a lot of influx in the Steelers offense as well, because Justin Fields probably going to start. And you also have Jaylen Warren, who's coming back from injury. He says he's 100%, but even sources within the team admitted that he's probably not 100%, but they obviously need him for this one. So for me, my official show looks for this one would be on the under 42, and really anything Bijan Robinson, whether it's ATD, whether it's to score a touchdown, rushing yards, receiving yards. I think carries, I think that you're going to see him get a ton of work today as all of these new pieces try to meld and kind of gel together.
Yeah, I'm right there with Spin. It's a very interesting game from my perspective. I just kind of want to see how these two teams play. And Justin Fields looks like it's going to get the start over, Russell Wilson. So I'm kind of concerned. I don't want to know what's going to happen as far as offense for the Steelers is concerned. So I'm going to let that, stay away from that. I see it the same way. I think they're going to come out and try and establish Bijan Robinson early. They've got first quarter over on FanDuel for, I think it's minus 115 for over 14.5 rushing yards first quarter. That's what I'm targeting if I'm going to put anything in on this game. I think they come out, and this is, even though the Steelers have a good defensive line, this is we're going to run no matter what type of offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons. They've been one of the best run blocking offensive lines for years back, and I expect it to continue this year. I think they will establish Bijan Robinson early, make sure that they allow Kirk Cousins to settle in. This Rams passing game scheme that is coming over will allow for really good run concepts as well. So that's what I'm looking at in this game. And then I think the Falcons end up winning, but I'm not really touching that line. It's a complete wild card as far as the Steelers offense, what it's going to look like for Justin Fields.
Yeah, I see the spread is actually up to 4.5 now on DraftKings. I really don't got to lean as far as the side. I do have a prop look. So with Russell Wilson starting, I liked what did I have? Najee Harris over 7.5 receiving yards. So me being a Justin Fields fan, I pretty much follow Pittsburgh throughout camp. And I watched all 3 of the preseason games too, and I saw just a heavy dose of the spring game, whether it's to Pickens or to the running backs. Just trying to get their playmakers the ball and pretty much simplify the offense for these quarterbacks. So I think we'll continue to see that. I think Najee at 7.5 is something we probably can see in the first quarter, off the first screen. I think Fields' first pass of the first preseason game was a screen pass to Najee Harris for like 12 yards. So I think the touches will be there for the backs. I know, and Jalen Warren is a bit banged up. He's playing, but I don't know how healthy he is. So I think Najee will probably out-touch him today. As far as Fields, I was looking at the rushing yards, but they got it priced correctly. I was hoping they would be sleeping, but he's already at like 50 yards. Atlanta allowed the most rushing yards to quarterbacks last season. Now, I know they made some additions, but we've seen how shaky the Pittsburgh offensive line was in preseason. And then we know with the addition of Judon, I think they could get some pressure on Fields and force him out, and he becomes a runner. So I just a lean towards rush yards, nothing crazy. He did have a great game against them last season in Chicago, but different offense he's on now, and the Falcons made a couple big changes on defense. So I don't want to get too involved in this one.
Justin Fields is from Georgia. Went to high school in Georgia. Went to college at Georgia. Transferred from Georgia. What a story would it? What kind of story would it be if he wasn't supposed to start? He goes home. His family probably won't even go. He probably wasn't going to show up to the game, or at least sit on the sideline. He might have been in the suite getting some food. Now it's the whole gang is there. I'm just visualizing a story in my head for around 4 o'clock. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. I'm not telling y'all to go bet on the Steelers. But for some reason, the Pittsburgh defense is criminally underrated. We don't talk about them the way.
Yeah, I never hear about them, bro, this whole offseason.
We don't talk about this defense the way we talk about other elite units. We don't. I mean, Watt was out. The defense still played amazing, even without him. So again, I'm not ready to put my money on the Steelers, but I'm also not here to believe in Kirk Cousins, and we're not going to believe in Kirk Cousins. I'm never going to believe in Kirk Cousins. So that's just where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it.
And actually, I would argue not only is the Steelers defense underrated, I have always found Mike Tomlin to be one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. He always gets the most out of his guys. Always. Doesn't matter the talent, doesn't matter the level that he's got. He always gets the most out of his guys, especially on defense. So for those that don't know, I am a massive Mike Tomlin fan.
He's the man. He's the absolute
one of the best in the league for sure. Longest
tenured in football.
Also check. I definitely will look at Pat Fryermuth's line is just completely too low with Fields starting. We seen him target Cole Kmet a lot. It was Cole Kmet and DJ Moore in Chicago. Who is he going to be in Pittsburgh? Fryermuth just got paid. It's going to be George Pickens and Pat Fryermuth getting receptions. 28 yards is just simply too low, especially if we're expecting Pittsburgh to be trailing.
I know people will look at Simmons and Bates and what they can do, but to me, that's a little bit more of a down the field factor than it is limiting Pat Fryermuth. So I like that look as well.
Yep.
All right. Getting into the next game, a divisional matchup. We got the Houston Texans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Houston Texans finished second in the offseason Olympics. They traded for some players that have us believing that they could legitimately be a NFL Super Bowl caliber team. Obviously, they hit on the quarterback. Whenever you hit on a franchise quarterback and you have the guy, it's very easy to believe that, right? Like that's the most important position in all of professional sports. When you hit on a quarterback, it changes your trajectory immediately. Indianapolis obviously drafted a quarterback in the same draft. He only played in 4 games. We saw some flashes of brilliance. We also saw the lack of playing time. He just simply needs more reps as a quarterback. We all know he's a special athletic talent, but potential is just another word for you ain't did shit. And that's how I approach this. I'm a big fan of Anthony Richardson. I think Shane Steichen is a very, very good offensive mind, and I think that he can game plan with the best of them. It becomes a level of execution and understanding when that's the case. In this matchup, I expect the same thing we've gotten from the Indianapolis defense over the past few years, which is a lot of zone. And they have, a talented front four. They have a very underrated defense because they give up a lot of yards at times, but they don't necessarily let you in the end zone. They can be a lot. They can be bend and not break a lot. And then with this particular matchup, where you have these guys who can all stretch you vertically, like Tank Dell, like Nico Collins, like Stephon Diggs. In this one, me and Prop have already collabed on this one. It's Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon in the matchup. Joe Mixon performs well against. He's been a receiving back his entire career. They went and got him for a reason. I believe we all believe he's the feature back. I think he's got plenty left in the tank, especially with a team that's loaded on the outside like Houston to get plenty of opportunities in the short passing game. We got his number at 12.5. I'm pretty sure it's up to like 14.5, maybe 15.5 in some places. We did play it up to plus to 25 yards, which at the time was plus 300, available on Bet Rivers. Joe Mixon in this matchup, it just makes sense. The Colts' priority is going to be taking away the vertical weapons, and Joe Mixon's going to have plenty of opportunities underneath to make his presence felt. And again, you have a quarterback in C.J. Stroud who I think is ready to just pitch it around the yard. At the end of the day, even if he's seeing zone, he has no problem making high risk throws. He's confident in his arm strength, and he also understands how to diagnose what's on the other side. As far as a winner, I'm not prepared to do that. This is a divisional game. I expect both teams to be some level of a feeling out process. I do, however, have my first touchdown score of this year. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor. Me and Top Shelf are on that together. Jonathan Taylor's performed very well against this team. He has great history against this team. I know people are very high on Houston's defense, and they should be. But you don't know what a team's defense is going to be until you see them on the field. And none of these guys have hit anything. Pause. And none of these guys have, have actually been out here tackling people. So I expect it to be a feel out process, and I expect for I expect for Jonathan Taylor to get in the end zone in some capacity. We'll go prop, spin, DMAC, and whatever you like in this game, and whatever your thoughts might be.
Well, you already touched on the mixing look that we had. Well, you said me first, right? Was it?
Mm-hmm. I was just going to break in. Tyreek Hill got arrested outside the stadium. Yeah,
for what?
They got him. I don't know. They got him in handcuffs on the side of the street. There's pictures of it.
Whoa. All right, Tyreek for 200. Y'all ready?
Yeah, that's
Tyreek for 200. You heard it here first.
That's crazy. That's
Tyreek for $2 bills. Lock it in right now.
Whoa.
The first person to get a bet on Tyreek after the incident.
I'll show you it real quick, but yeah, that's
man. Okay.
In a beater on the way to work. What is he just leaving the club? Oh my God! What the fuck is my man doing?
There, man.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Cheetah being Cheetah, man. He was just trying to go fast. Man, he ain't did shit, man. He ain't done nothing. He just being himself.
What a start to a Sunday, man.
Man, the police always bored, man. But yeah, let's get that. Prop, my fault.
With the stadium in the background is just a chef's kiss. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Prop.
No, it's good. So you already touched on the mixing look we got. I mean, all the numbers are there. I put a pretty much put a nice little article together. We did on my Twitters for that. So love mixing today, and I know it's a divisional matchup, but I love just the Texans straight up. It's juice now, but I want to say the money line was minus 125 or something like that, or minus 130. When I took it, I just thought it was too low. Houston is the more talented team, and they're the more proven team at this point right now, I would say. So we still got a lot of questions from Anthony Richardson, and I do think the duo of him and Taylor can be dynamic. We just we got to see it. We thought it was going to be dynamic in Baltimore, and they chose not to use Derrick Henry for some reason. So week one was kind of weird with some of the usage that we've been expecting. So I want to see it happen first. So I think I like Houston. We talked about The Colts running a lot of zone. CJ Stroud against zone had the best passer rating in the NFL last season, 112.2. Completed 72% of his passes, 2,500 yards, 9 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And that was at seeing zone pretty much. He had about 19 pass attempts per game against zone. So he just shredded zones. And now you add Stephon Diggs to that mix and you get a healthy Tank Dell back. I think I think Houston comes out early. And I also like Diggs. I think, me and you spoke about that. I think there's a couple players this season who I think people are just going to be completely wrong about. I hate to mention Zamir White and Diggs in the same sentence, but a lot of people are down on White too, and it's like, why? The volume is going to be there. Stephon Diggs came to Houston and is named the team captain. That's not a mistake. That's not diva like mentality. So I think the Diggs disrespect is going a bit far. If you look at his numbers before the change at OC when he was intentionally phased out of an offense, he was having a great season. So I'm not overreacting to the last couple weeks in Buffalo. Well, not the last couple, but last 7 weeks. So I like Diggs too. I like his receptions. I didn't get to the window on it, but just a lean for the people. But the official plays, with me and you would Mixon's receiving yards.
All right. Yeah, I tend to probably stay away from trying to do lines on division games, and especially because right now the Texans are -3, as they probably should be. But for a division game, for a bunch of new pieces on the Texans side, or just everything in this game, I'm probably not going to touch this line just because these division games play tight anyway. And especially week 1, to try to lay on a road on road chalk is just, to me, I found that that's just not significant value. The one that I do like, though, is any receiving prop with Nico Collins. First of all, Nico Collins absolutely torched this Colts team last year. 2 games, and in those 2 games, he had 7, 146 and 1, and 9 and 195 and 1. He is the one of the guys that was with Stroud for pretty much the entire year last year. And while I do think that Diggs will get his looks, I definitely agree with that. I think that any of the receiving props for Nico Collins works just because he matches up so well against all of these anybody that they're going to throw at him. And a lot of the routes that he runs can really take advantage of Indy's zone coverage. So I think right now his receiving yards are on DraftKings at 68.5 at -125. I'm fine with that. I would probably take that up to 75, especially if you think that Stroud is going to air it out and get the ball in the air a lot, which the way this offense is designed, that probably is what they're going to do. So I like that one. And I think that I think you can also look at Tank Dell, but really a lot of receiving props in this game make a lot of sense. But my favorite one is Nico. The combination of familiarity with Stroud and the fact that he has absolutely obliterated Indy in twice last year would lead me to that one. So official show play for this one, Nico Collins over receiving yards.
Yeah, certainly like that play. I think Nico is going to end up being the number 1 for this team because of the familiarity, because of the way that he operates within so slow system. I know Sosa disagrees thoroughly with that take, and what we saw from him last year as well. But my personal play that I like from the Texans offense, the Colts, I think that they overcorrect a little bit to what you saw on defense from them last year and allowing Nico to get off. I think you see an extra, attention paid to him, even though I still think Nico will have a good game. They have one of the better slot corners in the league as far as Kenny is concerned. I think you'll see him a lot on Stephon Diggs, especially if he moves inside as well. I really like Tank Dell to get over 21.5 for his, longest reception. I think that they create an explosive to Tank. He looked like he was back to his old self during preseason. I expect that there's a big play to be had today versus the Colts as well. The other one is Dalton Schultz at 25 plus as well. Yards, I think it's like -184. If you want to throw that on there, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. There's ways to attack this Colts defense, but I think this is better than what you saw from it last year. And those would be the 2 guys that I look at to try and create some really good plays from that perspective. Colts offense, I think, will have some success against the Texans. They're a little bit soft in the interior of the defensive line. I think they can get after from that perspective. They added Aziz, and I think that'll help them, but I still think that they'll be able to run the ball effectively and what Shane Steichen will dial up. So ultimately, those that I think that the Colts will have a good day offensively, force CJ Stroud to still put it up in the air. And I'll be looking for Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz to get some nice chunk plays and hit on both of those bets as well as far as this game is concerned. Other than that, I'm just looking to see what I think is it going to be a game between two teams that will be battling for that AFC South crown alongside of the Jaguars for the entirety of the season. And a lot of things to find to see how these two teams operate today.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Tyreek Hill for 150 plus 440. I'm not even playing with y'all. Like, this is not a drill. This is the real thing. This is not a fire drill.
No. I get it.
Fire drill. This is
it.
the real thing. All right. I'm not fucking around here. I'm not playing with y'all. All right. 150. 150. He getting close to whatever he was doing on the odometer today, brother. Y'all gotta listen, my boy. All right. They said I was going 164. All right, bet. That's what we're looking for. It's coming. He got pulled over. It's up. Come on now. Who's with me? I know y'all with me now. 150 plus 440.
We getting the Scotty Shepard play for sure.
Yeah, but he gonna actually do it. Like, he gonna actually go out there and do it. You feel me? Scheffler fucked up and didn't win till the next week. You feel me? So listen, Tyreek 150 plus, and you're gonna see the replay of this video around the third quarter. All right, I'm so serious, man. I know I'm smiling and laughing. I'm dead fucking serious. I just bet it. Like, I'm not playing with y'all. I'm so serious. All right. Which brings us to the game you're about to talk about anyway. Okay,
right out. Perfect intro.
That's why I had to get it out of the way first. You feel me? I had to make sure of that. Look, man, we got the Jaguars taking on the Dolphins. Last year, everyone told me that the Jaguars were going to dominate their division. They started 8-2, and then they proceeded to just fuck off the season. Everybody who's a big believer in Trevor Lawrence, we had to wait a year. We're back. We're back in full effect this season, guys. Have no fear. All the people like me who believed in Trevor Lawrence, he's going to make us look good this year. I promise you. Stay healthy, he's going to make us look good. Made us look terrible last year. All offseason, I talked a bunch of shit, only to return to this to say, I think he's going to be pretty good this year. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be pretty good this year. The Dolphins offensively should be a juggernaut. I mean that. They should be able to run the ball, pass the ball, do a lot of things, even if you don't believe in their offensive line, which I think is pretty decent. I think they have an elite offensive mind in Mike McDaniel. I think he has an assortment of weapons from running back 3 to, I mean, they just have speed everywhere on the football field. He's a great designer of plays, a great caller of offense. So I have no doubts on that. Obviously, we look at the defense. The defense might suck. Depending on how much they're on the field. If they're on the field a lot, they'll be fucking terrible. But I think that the offense is good enough to sustain drives and keep them off the field and just give them a chance to be good in spots. But if you look at the roster for the defense, there are some concerns there. They're pretty glaring. On the other side, the Jaguars made some scale changes. Obviously, let go of Ridley. They went and got Eric Armstead from the 49ers. They gave Josh Allen like $1 billion. And they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. They reinforced their receiving core. They gave Evan Ingram some money. My play in this one, I'm taking the Jags with the points. I just made the bet on Tyreek Hill, but I still like the Jags with the points. I think this Jaguars team is wildly underrated. I also think that your defense can be bad in like the belief that, they gave up a lot of explosive plays, but those can be limited based on game planning a little bit differently. And I think that's what we'll see from them. I think that was the biggest issue with them last year. They just gave up a lot of explosive plays that just led to their defense looking like absolute shit on paper. So, I think that you got a coach in Doug Peterson who is basically Andy Reid Jr. When he starts throwing the ball, he doesn't stop. He'll be the quickest one to abandon the run game. I like Brian Thomas to perform well in this one. I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities. It's going to be interesting to see how they deploy Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, he just got another bag. I still think Jalen is a very good football player. I don't know about being an elite coverage corner anymore. However, his versatility and ability to play any defensive back gives him an advantage going forward because he does have that level of versatility that a lot of defensive backs don't have. He'll come up and tackle you. You could see him playing some center field at times, even at safety if they felt like it. And obviously they have another safety in Javon Holland who you can put all over the field. So when you have two defensive backs as your only weapons on the defense, it has to be a chess match as to where you deploy them and how you deploy them from play to play. But yeah, those are just my general thoughts. Obviously, everyone has their thoughts on this one. We'll go spin. We'll just go the other way around. Spin, D-back, Brad. We'll finish with Prop. I know Prop has some thoughts on this one for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Brian Thomas, and if you've never watched this kid play, you should. He has just absolutely explosive speed and playmaking ability. I talked about it earlier in the show today about Worthy and about Jaden Reed. And look, in this league, still in this league, speed and explosiveness kill. So my official show play that I like for this one, while I'm not sure that I would get him into any DFS or fantasy lineups this week, I do think that just with the nature of how Miami plays and how many points they can put up and how many points they're projected to put up, is that Jacksonville is going to have to throw the ball. So Brian Thomas Jr., longest reception over 19.5 is on DraftKings right now. That's like a normal route for him. So, and even if it's a short route, his speed and playmaking ability can turn it into 20 plus. So Brian Thomas to get a 20-yard reception is -110. That's a very fair price to me. The other thing that if you look at Miami's depth chart, they only kept 4 wide receivers on their active roster. They do have 2 that are out, that are on IR right now, but they only kept 4 wide receivers on their active roster. And 2 of them, well, one of them is Robbie Chosen, formerly Robbie Anderson. And the other one is nobody that you would think would really.
And he was with the 49ers a month ago, by the way.
Yes.
Let's not forget that. He was on the 49ers, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago when we couldn't keep anybody healthy.
Yep. And then the other one was a 7th round pick last year by Green Bay in Grant DuBose. So the volume is certainly going to be there, I think, for both Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. So obviously we already talked about Tyreek and his situation, but Jalen Waddle catches can make a lot of sense too. But my favorite one for this one is Brian Thomas Jr., longest reception over 19.5. Just with the way Miami plays and also with just the way that this game projects to flow, is that Jacksonville is going to have to pass the ball. Keep in mind as well that Miami allowed the 10th most points to wide receivers last year, and they also have a brand new defensive coordinator in Anthony Weaver. So I think that expecting a guy with this much speed, who people haven't been able to watch film on yet, haven't been able to scheme for yet, to expect a 20-yard reception isn't asking a whole lot.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I'm right there with you as far as Brian Thomas Jr. I think that the Jaguars are going to have to throw in this game specifically. I think the Dolphins will find enough passing lanes to have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have a good game. The run game is going to be very fascinating. I think the Jaguars slightly upgraded their front 7, how much they're able to move guys in the run game as far as the actual Dolphins offensive line that obviously missed, or I should say have Robert Hunt move on from that guard position a little bit in flux from that aspect. How much they remove guys is going to be very interesting from a schematic perspective, but I think the Dolphins find a ways to put points up. I think this is an explosive game. For me, I'm taking T-Law at 275 plus yards. I do think that he's a very good quarterback. I think that he continues to show that. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the perfect pairing for him to create some of those explosives. So whether you want to pair that with the 50 plus yards, 60 plus yards, or 70 plus yards, I would feel comfortable with all those. You get all those at plus money, just depending on how much you want to put on it. And so those are the 2 things that I'm looking at in this game. I think it's going to be a very fun game, very explosive game. Definitely one of the more entertaining ones on the slate, certainly. But those are the 2 plays that I like. And I'm certainly going to be watching what the Jaguars, sorry, my apologies, what the Dolphins run game looks like versus that Jaguars front to see who ends up winning that matchup. Because I think it'll be interesting for 2 teams that'll be vying, for AFC wildcards as we go throughout the season as well. Go ahead, Prop.
Yeah, what? So I heard everything you said, but I didn't hear the player. Who was it?
So T-Law 275 plus yards, and then also
Oh.
Brian Thomas Jr. for 50 plus or 60 or 70 plus, whichever you feel comfortable with.
Okay. I'm staying on a Jaguar side here with you guys with the props. I love Evan Ingram. Pretty much, I would say it was a breakout year for him last year. He's coming in off of career highs in both receptions and receiving yards. Yeah, he almost went for 1,000. Finished with 963. He had 21.6% of the target share last year. Now you take Calvin Ridley out of the mix. You do add in Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, I have no concerns with taking anything away from Evan Ingram. Now Brian Thomas Jr. I do love as well, but I think he has the trust T-Law does with Kirk and Evan Ingram. And Miami gave up, I think they were top 10 as far as receiving yards allowed to tight ends. So tight ends were able to have good games against them. And Trevor Lawrence was the number one target. He led Jacksonville in targets. Even though Christian Kirk is healthy, I think we'll see that the same. Ingram looked great in the preseason game where he had 2 touchdowns. I know we don't put too much into it, but just going with the momentum that he's coming into this season with, the preseason performance and Miami not being the best against tight ends, so like I said, top 10 worst as far as yards allowed. I think Ingram is in store for a big game, so I take his receiving yards over 43.5, and I think you can get I think it may be like 44.5 or whatever now, but I think he's good for 50 plus, and go ahead and get you some plus money. And that's it for me.
My bad. I was sending a text. Yeah, obviously, you're never going to hear me with any disagreement, except for that -4 with the Chicago game from any of you. We tend to look at things the same way. I mean, obviously, the expectations change year to year with every team, right? I think that the belief we believe in certain players just a little bit more than we would, because when you look at this Miami football team, the talent on one side of the ball is glaringly better than the other. It really is. And I'm a believer in McDaniel to the point where I have him competing for the division or winning the division, possibly, right? I know obviously people, and this comes with obviously the disclaimer. If I got a disclaimer, I just want to make something clear. If Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, the Jets will win this division going away. It will be easy for them to win the division. I'll go as clear as to say that. If Aaron Rodgers looks like Aaron Rodgers tomorrow night, fuck everything I said all offseason. All right, let's get that out of the way. But yeah, you believe in this Dolphins offense. If you're going to be betting on them, that's all you're looking forward to, because until they get real reinforcements on the defensive line, could spell very big trouble for this team. We're going to get into the next game. We're actually running great on time too. We only got 2 games left. The next game we're going to get to is the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Cleveland Browns. You got the Browns line down to 2.5 now with an over/under of 40.5, which is crazy to me considering how ass the Dallas defense is. Listen, I'm not high on Dallas this year. I think Dallas, for me, their ceiling is 9 wins. Y'all can look at that football team. They're not going to get 7 backups this year. And if they do, then they'll probably play well. But they're probably not going to play 7 backups. And let's be honest, too, in the division, last year, all of the quarterbacks were backups. Except for Jalen Hurts, who is a fullback. So, and I say that jokingly. Please, I don't want people to, please don't get in my DMs saying stuff about me being racist, which is impossible because I'm black, but we're not going to talk about that. We don't get into those sort of things on the internet ever. I don't do that. You should be surprised when people fucking tell you on the internet, dog. I'm so serious. They'll say the wildest shit. But back to this football game. When it comes to this matchup, Deshaun Watson, prove it or lose it here, man. Prove it or lose it. This is it. This is your last chance. Shout out to his agent, getting him a fully guaranteed deal, having him set for life, whether or not he implodes or is great. Listen, I want to be a believer in Deshaun Watson, but it's very hard to read off-season comments and read articles and read, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to do that when, you know, all you hear is negative shit about Deshaun Watson. He doesn't do this well at practice. He's not looking like this. He doesn't this. I want to believe in him. I think that the Browns are going to do everything in their power to empower him. On the Dallas side, again, not a big believer in Dallas. Coach isn't under contract past this year, and neither is the quarterback. That's never a good start. Now, if they do sign Dak, which is what it's looking like they're going to do, because it would be smart to sign Dak. You sign Dak, you roll over the guaranteed money, then you can pay Mike or whatever the fuck he wants, and everybody's happy, right? And then there are delusional Cowboy fans that say stupid shit like he has to win a Super Bowl for him to get paid. Well, sorry to break it to you. You're not winning a fucking Super Bowl this year. It ain't happening. All right. So y'all guys, the season's already over for Dallas Cowboy fans. Y'all aren't winning shit.
He has to win a Super Bowl. Did Joe Burrow win a Super Bowl? Did Jordan Love win a Super Bowl? This is the market for
Tua, Trevor Lawrence.
All of them. This is the market, man.
So yeah, again, so that's just my view on both teams. In this game, I love Jerry Jeudy. I think Jeudy stands to benefit more than anyone from being alongside Deshaun Watson. I think that vertical threats have always been good with Deshaun Watson. He turned Will Fuller into an absolute star week to week. Let's remember. I think also that the receiving group for this team is mirrored closest to what he had in Houston when they were good. I do. At the end of the day, I'm laying the 2.5 with the Browns. I think the Browns win the game, and I don't think it's going to be as difficult as people think. I do not believe in this Dallas defense. I do not believe in Mike McCarthy. Shit, the Dallas Cowboys don't believe in Mike McCarthy. He might not have a job, and he's won 12 games 3 straight years, or double-digit games all 3 years. So, yeah, I'm on the Cleveland Browns to win it. I like Jerry Jeudy over 37.5. That was VIP. It's close to like 41 now. So hopefully you guys get it at a decent number. I think I like him up to maybe 50 or 60. I think he's going to be the go-to guy on money downs. And I think that he's the type of player that fits what Deshaun Watson wants to do. I also like Amari Cooper. I don't believe in any of the defensive backs or cornerbacks for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care if they made all pros that they shouldn't have gotten, either of them. And one of them's not even playing. So best of luck to the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys fans. It's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing all year. Prop, we'll start with you with anything that you might have on this ball game.
Yeah, I actually met the Dallas Cowboys fan yesterday, who says he wants Michael Parsons gone too. So I see why a lot of these players are so out of touch with the fans of the team, man. But my play for this one is I don't want to say it's based on the weather. I just think the line is too low. Ezekiel Elliott over 7.5 receiving yards. I mean, Zeke was, no matter what the burst or speed looks like now, he's reliable in the pass catching game. He did that all season for New England, and then now you get back to Dallas where it's CeeDee Lamb, and then who else? You know, it's a little bit of Ferguson, a little bit of Cooks, but having Zeke back, I think 7.5 receiving yards is just a bit too low. That's -110 on FanDuel. Winds are projected to be about 14 to 17 mile per hour gusts in Cleveland. So I think it's kind of be an ugly game through the air. So I lean on those little checkdowns and screen plays. They said Dalvin Cook is not going to play. It's going to be Zeke and Dowdle splitting carries. So I think Zeke will probably get about 20 receiving yards today. I'm not saying it's a ladder, but I'm just telling y'all I think the 7.5 is way too low. Outlook on the game. If I had to take a side, I would go with Cleveland. I think the Cowboy slander is getting a bit crazy this season. It's a lot of crazy takes going into this year. I'm just ready for football to be played, and we'll see.
I'll be interested in this game for what, I think the Cowboys and Browns is going to be Cowboys offense for the Browns defense is the one that I'm watching a little bit more. That's a really good, unit on both sides. How much they use Rico versus Zeke is something I'll be watching. Obviously, Zeke is a veteran incumbent, the guy that they've seen play in the system before. I think Rico is the better running back at this point in Zeke's career, truthfully. But it'll be interesting to see what the split is there and what the snaps look like. Dak, CD, those guys are going to have a good game because they always have a good game and think you bet on it. Sosa, I I bless you for still believing in Jerry Jeudy. I don't think he's a vertical threat enough to go with Deshaun Watson, but if it happens, it happens. I'll give him credit for that. But I'm not. God bless you for believing in Jeudy. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
They wouldn't have paid him if he's ass. Like, hold on. Like, this the thing.
Are you
he
sure?
He never had a problem creating separation in Denver. The quarterback play was, come on, man. Like, is the
quarterback play here better?
Yes. I trust the coach too. I think listen, I like Stefanski. And I also think that like the demise of Deshaun Watson has been wildly exaggerated. I really do believe that. And I think that he knows it. This is do or die at this point. And I think he's going to perform well this year. I'm not buying into the narratives. I think he understands the offense. I think that's something that people neglect to admit is this. And this is something that has pissed me off, bro. In the offseason last year, he had to learn a new offense in which he was not the fulcrum of it. He learned an offense which featured Nick Chubb. And then Nick Chubb got hurt. And then they literally had to change the offense from something that was base to something that he was a little bit more familiar with because he's more of a passer, right? He's more of a spread quarterback. What happens now? You spread him out, best game of his season, and then gets hurt. I think he's being unfairly judged. I really do believe that. And I think that like people want him to be garbage more so than like having something substantial outside of practice tape to give me to say he's fucking trash. So again, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, and I understand where your thoughts are coming from and your point of optimism. I think there is something to be said of how that system was built around Chubb, and to lose him 2 games into the year, that's a massive change in what you want to do. And Watson has never operated in a world where he's under center doing play action that Stefanski and the Browns generally have done with Chubb. He is more of a let's spread him out shotgun type of quarterback, and a little bit out of structure from that perspective. For me, I think Elijah Moore presents more of that explosive ability and that I would like to bet on from that perspective. If you do believe Deshaun Watson and this team can really get down the field, in my opinion, I still think that you saw a really good season from Jerome Ford stepping in for Nick Chubb. I think there's still a good offensive line that can get after the Cowboys, specifically that they're soft in that front seven. Obviously, outside of Mike and DeMarcus Lawrence. Did I just make up his name? No, it's DeMarcus. And I think that they're going to be able to run the ball. So Ford over 49.5 rushing yards is a play that I like. But I'm really going to be watching what the Cowboys offense does against what it was a spectacular Browns defense this year. If the Browns are able to switch up some of their coverage schemes, get a little bit more diverse with more time in that system as well. Go ahead, Sven.
Yeah, I didn't know about some of those crazy Cowboy fan takes, man. All right. Well, for this game, the one guy that I actually haven't heard yet that I am a huge fan of, I drafted him in multiple fantasy leagues. I was just all over him as a value tight end, is David Njoku. Last year, set highs in targets, receptions, receiving yards, TDs, catches, yards per game, yards per route, ADOT. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. And this year, based on what their offense has been running and how it's looked in the preseason, he's on track to potentially challenge for the team lead in targets, specifically in the red zone. So with Ken Dorsey coming to Cleveland, he did run one of the most pass-heavy offenses in Buffalo and also had a lot of looks to the tight end. So I tried to draft him late in a ton of fantasy leagues, got him in a bunch, but the one that I like here, and I'd probably go like a half unit max on this one, is David Njoku anytime touchdown scorer, because plus 215 on DraftKings, because he was their top red zone target last year, and he just barely trailed Amari Cooper for the overall lead in targets, built a great rapport with Watson. So the other one that I would probably look at is I might look at a few things with Rico Dowdle. There were a lot of reports out of camp that Dowdle looked much better than Zeke throughout camp, that they're both going to get their work, which is why I like props look as well on those receiving yards. But I would not be opposed because I think it's a little depressed today for Rico Dowdle. 34.5 for his rushing yards. I can see him getting close to an even workload as Zeke, and 34.5 is not a huge number to clear. I don't like that one as much as I like a lot of things Njoku, but specifically from the value perspective, his anytime touchdown at plus 215.
All right. Awesome.
Sorry, one quick thing, and spin it. It's very possible that Njoku does go off. I will say what you saw from Njoku last year was kind of after they went away from Deshaun Watson. So I am also, this is something I'm going to be watching. Is Njoku really heavily featured in this offense? Watson's never necessarily loved throwing to tight ends, but he is one of the better targets that he can get the ball to. So I'm going to be very interested to see if there's better chemistry between the two of them and they go after it.
Did Dak just get paid?
Breaking news: Dak just got paid 4 years, $240 million. 60.
Why is Jerry Jones like this? Like, you know,
I tried to tell y'all it was coming now. Listen, it makes sense. And literally minutes after that, here we go. They're gonna pay him. It makes sense, bro. And this is the thing. This is the Brady effect on football. Guys that are 32 aren't old anymore. They're not old anymore. Let's be honest. That's not how it works. That's not how the NFL views him anymore. So Dak, there was no question he was going to get paid. There was no question he was going to get paid.
What are you going to do? You're going to go draft Carson Beck? You're going to go sign somebody else? You have a really good quarterback. He's not.
Fedor and his dad. Sap's working out great last night.
Yeah, really.
Oh man,
hey man, you might want to get into the transfer portal and get some ugly people to play offensive line because it's not going to work out.
Oh my god!
But yeah, no, you got to pay Dak Prescott. You don't really have much of a choice, and I'm not surprised. I am surprised that it took this long, but again, this is what the Cowboys choose to do. They max out how much they got to end up paying guys because they wait till the last second. But yeah, Dak staying a Cowboy makes a lot of sense. And I'm actually happy, and I will say this, I'm actually happy that Dak is staying in the NFC because I do think he's a very good quarterback, and him coming to the Raiders would have been very annoying for me.
I'm fucking ecstatic. He'll never beat us. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, you don't have to worry about that. You know he's never going to beat you.
I don't have to worry about the NFC. Jared Goff got me. Holy shit, this is great. All right, speaking of Jared Goff, last game.
Also, I'm sorry, Jamar Chase is playing too.
Of course,
Chase is playing.
Of course he is because
He ain't got much of it. He's
flu game.
He's not getting paid with two years left on his contract. Certainly not from the Bengals.
Listen, Dak got paid. Jamar get paid next week.
He's not getting paid till next.
He's getting paid next week.
He's not getting paid till next offseason.
Getting paid next week. We're definitely on the opposite side of that. Listen, final game of the week that we're going to get into is the Rams versus the Lions, a rematch of a playoff matchup of last year. It was Matthew Stafford's first game in Detroit as a starting quarterback, and the Lions served him a loss. You got the Lions laying 4.5 with an over-under of 52.5. What's there to say? McVay's been criminally underrated for some reason throughout NFL circles. I learned that more and more this offseason. I'm not a huge fan of the Rams. I don't really like Sean McVay, but I got to respect him. Hell of a play caller, hell of an offensive mind, one of the most elite offensive coaches to ever coach in the NFL. And for some reason, people just continue to discount what he's continuously been able to do, no matter what the turnover of talent is on both sides of the ball. Last year, they weren't supposed to be good. They were good. Their offense was the best offense in football alongside San Francisco when they had all of their players healthy. They had the second most efficient offense in football when Kupp, Stafford, Williams, and Kupp, Stafford, and Williams were all playing. So that's a tribute to how great he's been as a play caller and how good he's been offensively. On the Lions side, the expectations are different. I'm very interested to see how a team with legit expectations react to that. Last year, it was let's break the curse. Let's get somewhere in the playoffs, right? They get to an NFC Championship game, they lose the game, obviously to the best team in the NFC. Nothing much has changed there. And you get to take on Matthew Stafford here. It's a big game, prime time. And this is how you know that times have changed. Detroit has a primetime game on the opening Sunday of the NFL season. That should tell you everything as to where the league is now. The teams that we used to look upon as complete garbage cans are no longer that. They're now functioning members of society. As far as that goes for the game, listen, I'm on Jameson Williams tonight. I'm on JMO. They cleared the runway for this kid. They cleared the runway, in my opinion. He's third season. He want to get paid. He wants to be a contributing player to an offense, and I think Ben Johnson's going to feature him in a heavy manner. I think he started to come on at times throughout the season, but there was a level of uncertainty too. Another thing people didn't realize is that Jared Goff had played every one of his pro seasons as a quarterback with Josh Reynolds, so their relationship dated back to when they were rookies together, and they went to Detroit together. So his role was actually predicated on his chemistry with Jared Goff throughout the beginning of his career. And I don't think people really understood that. Like, why is Reynolds out-snapping Jameson Williams? Well, they played together forever. So that should tell you everything as to why he continued to get opportunities, because he had synchronicity with the quarterback. J-Mo had time. It took some time to develop that. Also, when you have a play caller with the designs of Ben Johnson, it's a pretty difficult offense to pick up. You're not just going to – this is not just plug and play. You have to learn your role and understand that there are certain concepts you have to get better at in order to be featured. And I think we're going to see the culmination of of the last 2 years this year. I love Jameson Williams. I'm taking him to score a touchdown. I'm taking him for his longest reception. I think that, like I said, they cleared the runway for the jet. It's time for him to take off. Okay? And anybody that's down on Jameson Williams, I would like for y'all to know that Nico Collins didn't break 500 yards in either of his first 2 seasons as an NFL pro. He went for 1,300 yards, and y'all are telling me he's a fucking elite receiver off of last year. So if keep the same energy for Jameson Williams, who was drafted higher, a better player, a better prospect, more talented, and has equally as good a quarterback. Now, listen, hold on. I know I just said that Jared Goff was equally as good as C.J. Stroud. Okay? What I meant is, as far as being functional in the offense that they are in, Jared Goff has no excuses. He's accustomed to the system. He knows every check. He knows every play. He knows the personnel. At this point, it should be plug and play because Jameson Williams has been playing.
He's also playing in a dome 14 out of 17 games this season, so it also helps.
I don't know if you believe it makes him faster. But
it won't hurt. It won't hurt. Look, I think that, like you said, they cleared the runway. He has to. I won't say he has to. He is positioned he's possibly going to be in to succeed. Everything is lining up here for him to be the explosive element in this offense. Jared Goff is in position behind this offensive line to pull the trigger on those plays and make them happen. We know Amon-Ra and Laporta are the main 2 targets, but after that, Gibbs out of the backfield, Montgomery out of the backfield. He is the guy that can create those big plays down the field, and Goff is in a position from a mental standpoint where he's mature enough to take those shots. So I agree with you. It's lined up for him to do so. I'll have to see it first before I start betting on it, but I will say that it is lined up for him. This is going to be an extremely fun game. Rams defense, I think, will take a step back without Aaron Donald missing Raheem Morris. There'll be opportunities for the Lions to get after him, I think, particularly over the middle of the field. So I expect a very good Laporta game specifically. Amon-Ra is going to be his usual great self as well. On the Rams side, I think people are a little bit undervaluing what Cooper Kupp brings to the table. Like, he's healthy. This is starting out the first game. I think he's going to come out and have a good game to start out. I know everybody's, hot as far as Puka and what he had.
Watching New Jack City last night. He caught it on the late night.
Yes, I did. Nakua and what he had his rookie year has everybody on him specifically, but I think Cooper Kupp is going to come out and have at least a very good first game. Obviously, the Lions were able to make some upgrades as far as the secondary is concerned, but I'm going to need them specifically on the inside to show dividends before I'm scared off of betting on Cooper Kupp as well. So I like that. I will ask you, because all 3 of you guys, after Khalil Shakir and I have Jameson Williams, I'm leaning towards Shakir, but do you guys also share Sosa's optimism with J-Mo Williams, prop god and spin as far as you guys are concerned?
I'll let Spin go first. Yeah, he plays. He plays fantasy more than I do. So
Yeah. Fantasy for this one, you can get a lot of guys in. And actually, especially because of my official show play for this one would be on the over. I try not to do totals too much early in the season, just especially with teams that have new pieces. But both of these teams have way too many guys back and way too much continuity. And in the primetime environment. So this one opened at 51. It's gone up to 52 now in most spots. I would take it at 52. I'd take it at 53. I wouldn't be surprised if you see like a 31-28 type of game for this one. So I am all over the over in this one. And I think for fantasy, I think that you can use, like I said, you can use a lot of guys for this one. You can use Goff. You can use Williams. You can use, you should be using Amon-Ra anyway. You should be using Gibbs anyway. You should be using Kupp. You should be using Puka Nacua and Laporta. All of those guys, all the normal guys that you would start for fantasy, use them, run them. This one should actually have some really, really fun single game DFS contests because there's so many options to pick from. So, like I said, I am all over the over for this one. Probably not going to get too much into props for this one. Probably going to stick to just the two teams because they both have an extremely high amount of continuity and returning guys and returning pieces from last year, and a lot of familiarity with the systems that they're running. So over 52 and a half for me doesn't really make a difference. Like I said, I like it up to 55.
Yeah, I like it up to 57. So we're on the same boat. I think we get points. Games indoors. Both teams are used to playing indoors. When Puka and Cooper Kupp are on the field together, pick your good luck. Good luck trying to figure out that one. Unless this Terrion Arnold kid is Deion fucking Sanders. Just saying.
But yeah, as far as like, I guess I'll go next. Just as far as looks for the game, if I don't know, it's kind of tough with the Rams coming in. I think I forgot, is it the left tackle or right tackle they're gonna be missing, and they're missing two corners. So I think that's why the total is what it is, 52 and a half. I agree with Spin. I like it to go over. I like some fireworks tonight. It's prime time game, and I like what D-Max said. I think a lot of people, now I love Puka Nacua as well, but a lot of people are sleeping on the fact that Cooper Kupp is healthy. I mean, I think he got through training camp with no nicks, no bumps and bruises. So I like the Cooper Kupp show tonight. I like him up to 100 yards. It's plus 300 on DK. I have to do a same game parlay article for this game. I'm gonna share it here now before I do the actual write up. But I'm gonna run Amon-Ra St. Brown and Cooper Kupp 100 plus receiving yards each. Is plus 850 on DraftKings. That's the best line you can get. If you do it on FanDuel, it's plus 651. I'll call them scam duel because the odds difference is always crazy. So I love both of those receivers to get off. The thing with St. Brown is pretty clear. He's numero uno in Detroit. That's not going to change. And he's a warrior. He plays through any bumps and bruises, any type of injuries. We saw that from the receiver series. So I expect him to hit the ground running again. I like Gibbs today too, but I just think both of these quarterbacks aired out today. Kind of similar to what we saw in the playoff game. Puka Nacua ripped this Detroit defense for 181 yards. So I think they'll be keying in on him. I'm sure NFL, they know not to sleep on Cooper Kupp, but the way Puka did them and with Kupp being healthy, I just don't see how Kupp doesn't get his targets tonight. And in my article, I put like people, I guess they get scared of Cooper Kupp because of Puka Nacua, but that doesn't hurt the Stafford and Kupp connection. It just enhances it. It makes it more deadly to me because now he has two true weapons.
Also, we just got to be honest, bro. Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford got 5-bar Wi-Fi. It's different. The connection they got is different. They know where to be. They know Cooper Kupp literally knows, like, he can break off any route he wants. He gets the freedom to really do whatever he wants based on where the space and leverage is provided to him. And that doesn't change. I think the other receivers, I think Puka got that as the season went on. He got that ability to do that because McVay does allow his receivers to do that. Like, or as far as Cooper Kupp, it's like break off your routes or basically just go to wherever there's space and he'll, adjust the route according to coverage during the play. They do that a lot. You saw Puka do it a lot, but with Kupp, it's a different level. It's like Kupp and Stafford is the closest thing we've seen to Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, where you have like that just innate connection where just like they just know where to be at, bro. And on every given play, it's just one of those things. So I love everything in regards to Cooper Kupp today. Spin, anything for this one? Anything else? D-Mac. I did want to get into I was going to do like a segment where it's like best bets, but we've already done that. We've already provided the people with all of our best bets for the best games. Is there anything that y'all want something for in regards to any plays that you want to throw out there? Maybe something for DFS. We're perfect on time. We're right around that 5-minute mark where I wanted to cap at, so everything was perfect as far as timing. I love all the looks. Thanks to everyone that tuned in. But Spin, you got anything you want to throw out there? DFS, DMAC, prop, anything else y'all want to throw out there? Make sure you guys check out Prop's article on FTN. He dropped the playbook, which 5 looks for the people on the timeline. Make sure you guys are tapped in with that. I know Spin's going to ask for stuff for the timeline. Obviously, make sure you guys check out DMAC. DMAC's locked in with Kingdom Cast. Him and Country and Chuck and CJ, they do a great job of getting you ready for all things Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, me and Spin Doctor, we run a VIP together. We don't do a ton of promotion on the timeline because most people that buy Bentleys don't usually get on the internet.
I will say really quickly. We did Game of the Week podcast last week, me and Mr. Facts and Stats about the Chiefs and Ravens as well here on Win the Day TV. Do come back next week. It'll be Bears and Texans. I'm looking forward to that week 2 matchup. If you did watch last week's, you got the Isaiah Likely over longest receptions little play that I threw out there as well. So there'll be bed nuggets throughout of those for those that will look out for it. That will be going live sometime this week coming up as far as we get into week 2. But absolutely, I'm excited for week 1 and excited to put on that red zone and here's 7 hours of commercial-free football starts right now. Go ahead, Sosa, close out.
Hey, no. I want to make sure that Spin. I know at the end of all the shows, I always make sure I let Spin go because I know Spin always has something different for the people at the end. So we'll go to Spin or I go Prop. You got anything else you want to drop on the people before we get up out of here?
No, I mean we pretty much got everything out. I got 5 looks on the playbook. Shout out to FTN. I'm gonna be doing that every Sunday. So the looks will vary depending on what I like on the slate. They want to go too crazy with it being week 1. Me and you got to collab with Mixon. That's pretty much it. Make sure you catch us on the playback live stream for the live bets all day today. So
tap in the social world.
Yep. For me,
it's on you, Spin. It's on you.
Yeah, for me, I always like to just to give out some DFS stacks that you can play if that is your thing, specifically for big tournaments. 2 of the ones that I'm a big fan of today are, even though it's against my team, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. I think you can stack and then run on the other side, either Evans or Godwin. Back on the other side. That game could have some points. I think that another stack that you can run, just because I mentioned earlier they're going to have to throw, would be Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. I think that you can stack those 2. You could also stack Gabe Davis in there. And then on the other side, you would have more than enough money to run back Hill if you Tyreek, if you wanted to go economical elsewhere. Or you can run those 2 in Jalen Waddle and then have a bunch of money to spend elsewhere. A few other just DFS dart throws that I think could pay off. Mike Gesicki for the Bengals. Just so you guys know, I hate Mike Gesicki as a player. He's burned me way too many times on freaking everything. But he's in a good spot today with, yes, Jamar Chase is playing, but he also hasn't done really anything in the preseason and is also, per the injury report yesterday, battling an illness. You also have T. Higgins out. Gesicki has looked good in camp, and Burrow has spoken pretty highly of him. So at least for today, I think that if you want to take a dart throw for a tight end in a big tournament, you can do that as well. And then the only other one that I would want to mention on the running back side would be Kenneth Walker. He was described by multiple people on the Seahawks offensive, the new coaching staff, as being a, quote, true 3-down back. Now, Charbonnet has shown well too, so I'm not sure I'm ready to believe that yet, but there should be plenty of volume for him to have, and he projects to be very low owned. So if you're looking for some DFS looks, again, that doesn't always correlate with props, so I'm not saying like I'm taking all these guys' props. What I'm saying is these guys this week, to me, have the combination of value, price, and potential low ownership to maybe get you some money in those large DFS contests. Other than that, I'm good.
I forgot the last play that I didn't cover. So for Cooper Kupp, it was over 66.5 receiving yards on the playbook, right? The play that we didn't cover because we didn't go over that game, I'll touch on Spins Buccaneers. I like them to win and cover today. But Chris Godwin's longest reception over 20.5. The Commanders gave up I think it was the first or second most 20-plus air yard completions last season. I think Baker Mayfield has played his best football when he's been surrounded with the best talent offensively in Tampa Bay. That's what we've seen last year. So I think he'll have another good season and kick it off today against this Washington secondary. I know they had a lot of turnover, but I still don't believe in their defense. So I like Tampa big today. Team total, I like the spread, and Chris Godwin to the moon.
And with that, the first episode of Sunday Morning Quarterbacks is coming to an end. In regards to what you just said, Prop, if Emmanuel Forbes is on your football team, anything is possible for the receivers on the other side because he fucking sucks. He was drafted ahead of Christian Gonzalez, I believe. Fire every fucking body in the building immediately. Fucking immediately. But that's what we'll leave you with. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Win the Day TV. Make sure you guys check us out at playback.tv/Sosa at 1 p.m. We're going to be live betting the entire NFL slate. Follow Sunday Quarterbacks on X/Twitter, whatever the fuck you call it. And you got something to say?
I got one more thing for our fantasy people. If you're worried about Jalen Wright, he's ruled out. So it's just A-Chain and Mostert.
Ooh, we got 6 players on offense for the Dolphins. Should be a hell of a game. McDaniel, you better get the whiteboard out and start drawing shit up in the dirt. But yeah, Sunday Morning Quarterbacks, episode 1, season 4. That's a wrap. Appreciate y'all. Peace. God damn it, I hate the Chiefs.